fencing for chickens, or free range for chickens. So if you're going to have a chicken fence, I would not bother getting chicken wire. Just don't do it. If you need a chicken fence, you need it predator proof. Chicken wire is a great in a pinch. It's lightweight, as long as there's not going to be a lot of pressure on it. Okay, you can use it. I started with it and I've pretty much refenced everything that it's on. The problem with chicken wire is it's not very sturdy. It tends to fall. They fly over it fairly easily, and it breaks down really easy and rusts. So if you're going to have a permanent fence, you almost need something behind it to help hold it up and keep it tight. Better option is welded wire. You see this a lot in yard fences. You can get the 2x4 squares. I will post pictures in here as well. That's a good solid one. Problem with that one is you're going to have chicks getting through that. You can get smaller squares. I actually have 1x1 inch. That's actually around my beds. If I would to build another chick pen, I would honestly do the bottom 18 inches or so, 2 feet with that. Bury it a couple inches, not feet, but just a couple inches into the ground. Some people say 6 inches, some people say 2 inches is fine, somewhere in there. What this does is, as the chickens scratch around in the pen and loosen the dirt around the edges of the fence, it keeps them from digging out. It also keeps predators from digging in. So that's two bonuses to this. I have seen it where somebody has used the chicken wire on their secondary fence and actually just left the bottom 1 or 2 hexes and actually laid that on the ground. So it's not up like this, it's laying down. And that kind of deters them from scratching right along the fence. Predators can break through that really easy, so it's still not my favorite. Like I said, I have it in my chick pen because that's what I had on hand. If I would redo it, I'd do it differently. Other thing is, you're going to want to make sure that fence, if you're planning on keeping the chickens in the fence, even when they're adults, make sure it is 8 feet tall. Why? So number one, 6 to 8 feet. 6 feet they probably won't fly over, but you're probably going to be knocking your head on the roof if you're going to have a top on it, which I also recommend if you're keeping them fenced with no other protection. You need something over the top to keep hawks out. 8 feet, they won't fly over it, unless you have guineas. Don't worry about the guineas, they're going to get out of a 12-foot fence, unless you have a roof on it. But 8 foot, then you're also not going to be hitting your head if you were tall. I wouldn't have that problem, but my husband, if we would put a fence on our chick pen, would be whacking his head because he's 6'5". It also makes easier just maneuvering things if you're cleaning it out. Make sure your gate is wide enough to get a wheelbarrow in the outdoor pen, or even through your barn. Get a wheelbarrow, skid steer, something in to make clean out way easier. Okay? Pro tips. Okay, on the hen house. You are going to want to have that predator proof. Mine is not 100% predator proof. However, I also don't tend to have chicks in my hen house. Only mature hens are in my hen house, with the exception of last fall when 2 hens decided to hatch chicks late in the fall and they all wound up in the hen house. We had a very high death rate on them. And several of them actually we lost in the hen house during the night because my one wall does not completely seal up, and they can actually get the chicks, I found out, could get under my tack room, and pretty sure the cats decided to eat them, and they didn't come back in. So I fixed that. Again, in your hen house, to be 100% predator proof, I know some people who have wrapped top and completely wrapped it bottom into the ground with hardware cloth. That's an excellent way to do it. I did not. Mine is just tin. It's a tin lean-to, honestly. It does not need to be insulated. Just saying. As long as it is well ventilated. That is the key. You have to have ventilation at the top to allow the heat and the moisture, especially, to get out in the winter. That is your key component there. And draft-free. If you don't have that, if there's drafts going through there, or if there is not enough ventilation, so you're holding moisture, you will actually get frostbite issues. That's where those come from, not from the cold. It's the ventilation, lack of ventilation. Free ranging, okay? We've covered all the fencing. I think if you have questions, post them in the comments. I will answer them. If there's a lot of them, I'll probably go into more detail on another video. Free ranging, right? Okay, so how do you keep predators from eating your chickens when you're free ranging? Because that is a big problem. There's a couple ways you can do this. A lot of people, myself included, run geese with their birds. Why would you add another bird, like a goose? Because while geese can't actually fight a predator off, they are great alerts. They're a great warning system, especially for the skies. My guard dog keeps the land things at bay. Like, they're pushed out. They don't even try and come in the yard yet anymore. I haven't seen a raccoon or evidence in raccoons for a while. About 6 months. And that was only because I found the dead raccoon. Yeah. So, for the skies, though, they're not the most watchful. That's where the geese come in. The geese are very alert, and can watch the skies better than the dogs. So what happens is they see a threat like a hawk, or maybe they see the fox that the dog missed, whatever. They actually start honking like crazy. What happens is they send out their little communication. All the birds take cover. It's really kind of fun to watch in action, and I've had the pleasure of watching it. And it worked beautifully. So all the birds take cover, and all of a sudden my biggest key that something is in the sky is it is quiet in my yard. Like, still, and there's not a bird moving to be seen. I have over 100 birds running around here. That doesn't happen very often. Except for when there's a hawk in the sky. So what happens? The geese alarm, and if something, and the dog then comes on alert, so he's usually around there as soon as he hears the geese. And what has happened, I've seen it happen, so the geese alert, everybody takes cover or just stops where they're at. Because if they're not moving, the hawks can't pick up their motion as easily and see where to strike. They kind of need that motion a little bit. Then the dog takes after. If something does try to scoop down, and I've seen it happen, the dog takes after it. Like I said, it's very fun to watch. I had a couple months ago a hawk try and attack, I'm not sure if it was a goose or a chicken out in the horse pasture, but the geese had seen it first before I ever saw it. And the dog was standing by me. I was doing chores, and all of a sudden he tore off through the pasture. And before I could realize what was going on, like, a bird scooped down from the sky and he, like, chased it off. Like, it didn't get anything. But that is guard animals at work, in action, doing what they're supposed to. Another way to protect your flock. Highly recommend a livestock guardian dog. These are not family pets. These are not herding dogs. They are guard dogs. If you see them ever during the daytime, like Andalusian Shepherds, Pyrenees, or the big white fluffy dogs, a lot of times you see them with sheep. They can also run with chickens. Mine, actually, he runs with the chickens, and the ducks, and the geese, and the turkeys. Really just all the birds. He controls the whole 3 acres. If you see them during the day, they seem really, really chill, relaxed, like, you would think that they make a really good house dog. The problem is, about dusk, all of a sudden, the switch flips and they become wired, like a lab during the day. A lab puppy during the day. Okay? These are very high energy dogs. They're very large dogs. They are programmed by selected breeding to operate at night. That is when they are awake. That is when they are functioning. Because that's when most of the threats are, is during the night. Our dog, he naps most of the day. He is kind of, by breakfast time, he's like, mostly kind of awake, and usually he'll go take a nap afterwards. Sometimes he and the lab play before breakfast. He sleeps, and then about evening chore, when I'm locking everything up, he's running around. He might do a patrol loop or two during the day, but for the most part, he's just kind of taking a nap, chilling in the shade. Yeah, we will go into training more on those later. I can't remember if it's next week or the week after, because that is a whole nother topic on themselves. They are geared for protecting other breeds. Well, we'll talk about that later because we can keep going for hours. So yeah, that's what I got for free-ranging chickens versus pen chickens, and your options for keeping your flock protected. If you have more questions, make sure to post them in the comments below. And if you want even more details, make sure to join my free beginner's homesteading group. The link will also be in the description. And yeah.